I just wanted to also, possibly look at them and see them. Will I be able to see them online?
Yes, sir, definitely. Manjula madam,
Uh,
ask ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ
all participants, please put on your camera.
ask them to.
I will also need to put my settings. I can see my friend Raj Praveen. Hi, Raj Praveen. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So right now
Sir,
I can see Manjula, Mr. Hombal, and
Yes.
Hiremani.
Yes, sir. Others are also joining, sir. They are all joining from their college.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I can now see some. Okay, there are 29 participants.
They will increase, sir. Gradually, they are
They will
joining.
increase gradually, and I can see their names.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shall we start, sir? Tripathi, sir, shall we start?
Yes,
Yes, we can start.
Yes, sir.
We can start.
All
Yeah.
the participants, please put on your cameras.
We can start. I'm ready.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Formally. Good morning to our beloved resource person and all the teacher participants. It's really a matter of great pleasure and honor for all of us today, in response to our request, Professor Rahul Tripathi, sir, has agreed to deliver two important lectures which are very much relevant to the political science in general and foreign policy in particular. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce first our resource person now. Rahul Tripathi, sir, has rich experience as a teacher for about 25 years. Sir has got his PhD from the School of International Studies in South Asian issues in South Asian cooperation. So naturally, sir is specialized in SARC, and sir has published 3 books, and his forthcoming book is there. Its title is India and the Global Political Economy, which is granted by the Indian Council for World Affairs. Sir has published around 40 research articles in various national and international journals, and sir has delivered more than 100 lectures on various issues of topical importance. So, sir is going to deliver lecture for all of you on India's neighborhood politics in post-colonial India. As all of you know, this topic is very much significant as we have to study the security scenario around India, because the national security, national development, and India's quest for world peace and order are largely determined by our relations with our neighborhood. So naturally, the neighborhood policy is in constant change on account of the environment in our neighborhood. Regional environment and global environment are always most important for us for the safety, security, and peace of every particular nation. I hope sir's lecture will definitely help you in enriching your own knowledge, and also subsequently it will help you to understand and explore much in your research. With these words, I extend warm welcome to our beloved Professor Rahul Tripathi, sir, and all the teacher participants to this session. Thank you, sir. I will leave the online after 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Humbal. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You are
So,
audible.
Yes, sir.
participants can see me and you also can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Audible,
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear from all participants because for some reason in my screen, I'm able to see only 4 or 5 faces. So I became a little worried that am I going to speak to only 5? But the number of yes I received, I now feel confident that there is a reasonably significant number for me to speak. But, online lectures have their own limitations. It does not replace that personal connect. So looking at the faces is always very, very important. It brings in some immediate connection. Most of the faces I see are smiling faces. So that means that you all are happy with the way the refresher course is going on. So let's have some general conversation initially. What stage are we right now? Are we in the middle of the refresher course
middle.
are
Exactly
we
middle, sir.
we are in the
Exactly
middle?
middle, sir.
Okay, I see. So, Dr. Rajapraveen,
Yes, sir.
I mean, you are monitoring the lecture or you are part of the refresher course?
I'm part of the refresher course, sir.
You are attending the refresher course.
Yes, sir.
That makes me a little more scared.
Nothing, sir.
So just to share with other participants that Dr. Rajapraveen and I had been hostel mates and our rooms were just opposite to each other in JNU,
Yes.
Brahmaputra Hostel.
Okay.
So looking at him brings back all those memories
Thank you.
and also anxieties because with the hostel we share a lot of anxieties with each other.
Definitely.
Uh, so second thing I wanted to ask was that since we are middle way, I'm pretty sure that there are going to be some more lectures on the theme of international relations. But so far, have there been any sessions broadly on India's foreign policy or international relations?
No, sir.
No, sir, not exactly.
Not exactly. Okay. So this may be the first one.
First one.
Okay.
Yes.
And then my last question. Of the total participants who are here, I just wanted to know, particularly those of you who have done their PhD or who are doing their PhD or might have taken up any research work. How many of you are into international relations as your area of work? Maybe 3 or 4 of you, if are there, can tell me what you're working on.
Sir, I'm Chaitra, sir. I worked on international climate change negotiations under Dr. M.J. Vinod, sir, and you were my external examiner for the thesis.
I see.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So University of Bangalore.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I would also request you to tell me the universities you all are from or colleges you are from. So who else is from international relations background? Anyone else? Of course, Rajpraveen, I know.
Yes.
So
Dr. Renuka, sir. Myself, Dr.
yes,
Renuka S.
Dr.
Patil
Renuka, yes. Yeah.
from Kalburgi, Gulbarga University, Kalburgi.
And
Uh,
so,
my MA final year and first year, the year 2003 and 4, the year 2003 and 4, that year I'm completed my PG. That time our optional subjects international relations.
okay.
Now at present, I come our PhD thesis, local government.
Okay.
Ah.
That happens. I mean, many of us specialize in something, but then as part of our work, we have to branch out. Very good.
Yes, sir.
And these days,
CM
global is
Yatnur,
local.
sir. Professor CM Yatnur, sir, students.
Okay.
Gulbarga.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Dr. Madali, you also want to say something?
Hello.
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
Good
I can
morning,
hear you,
sir.
Dr. Madali.
Good
Yes.
morning, sir. MA in Karnataka University Political Science 2007, MPhil 2009, PhD Shumaga University. Dr. Prasann Kumar sir, your guide. Subject human rights. Working
Okay.
form Chitradurga, SYB College, Chitradurga, Women's College.
Okay. Okay. So we have some of our colleagues who have been into specifically the area of human rights, I mean, international relations and human rights. And that exactly is my area of work. That has been my area of specialization. I did my master's in international relations and specialization in South Asian studies. And therefore, very naturally, India and her neighborhood were very, very significant areas of interest to me. Even while I was doing my master's, I used to be quite engrossed or interested in India's relations within her neighborhood. I was also interested in the regional organization, the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, which I'm pretty sure all of you would have heard of. And in that sense, 25 years of my teaching, writing on issues relating to South Asia, that fascination with South Asia or India and her neighborhood continues. And that's why when this opportunity was given, I thought for my first lecture, I will select this topic. And the way I have framed it is uh, India and the complexity of her neighborhood politics in the post-colonial period. So I'm using the term complexity that itself tells you certain things. But then all of you also are senior teachers by now. So don't consider this to be a lecture and consider this to be rather a conversation on India and the complexity of our neighborhood politics. And I would like to start this conversation first by asking you. So I'm not starting the lecture, but you are starting the lecture. And I'm posing a question to you. And the question is, if I ask you to look at India and her neighborhood today, how exactly would you look at it in terms of the quality of our relationship with our neighbors? And why do you think the quality of relationship is as you would like to point it out? So these two questions I would like at least 3 or 4 of you to address. So floor is open. Who would like to start first? Feel free. There is no test on this. So my question is, how do you look at India's relationship with her neighbors at present?
So, like the saying goes, na, there are no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, and only permanent interests. That is getting true day by day, sir. Suddenly, there's a good relationship with Sri Lanka. Overnight, there's some dispute, and then Maldives is one other example. Even Russia and US are, though they are not our direct neighbors, yet that's going on with them as well. So, based on our national interests, we are being more assertive at the international realm now compared to earlier times, is my opinion, sir.
Yes, but what about neighborhood per se? The quality of our overall relationship with her neighborhood?
No,
A
it's a
dynamic
strained
relationship.
relationship. It's a strained relationship, sir.
Strained. Okay. Okay. So Chaitra calls it a strained relationship. Yeah. Somebody else also wanted to say
Sir,
something.
maintain good relationship with our neighbor countries, and also it is maintain a dynamic leadership.
Oh, I could see your
Vishwaguru.
face. Dr. Renuka is saying?
Sir, yes, sir.
Oh, yes. Yeah, please, can you please repeat it? Yes.
Sir. India maintain a good relationship with our neighbor countries and maintain a dynamic leadership, Vishwaguru, called as a Vishwaguru.
Mhm. So you feel that India is maintaining a good relationship with her neighbors, and so overall, we are having the image of
Overall, uh,
being or trying to be a Vishwaguru. Any further points? Now, since I only see some faces, Mr. Shrikant, since I see your face, can I ask you that question? Would you like to respond to this? What is your opinion about India's relationship with her neighborhood?
Sir, it is
Yes.
not predictable, sir. Sometimes it is we think other countries are friendly, but sometimes in war time we see we have not support from other countries, sir.
So you use the term unpredictable, right?
Yeah,
Uh, one one very significant example of that is
even
Maldives.
Trump statements also, sir. Trump statements.
Yes.
Sometimes
Just
we think Modi is good with Trump, but after India Pakistan war, his opinion is very
and the best example is Maldives.
yeah.
All of you must be aware that the Prime Minister went to Maldives just last week, and the visit was very good. Uh, India announced a number of measures aimed at helping Maldives. Prime Minister also was made the chief guest at the function which celebrated Maldives' independence. And just 2 years back, we had a situation where the same president, Mr. Mizu, had come to power on the slogan that India should move out of Maldives. So there was a lot of anti-India sentiment on the basis of which Mr. Mizu, who was hosting Mr. Modi, came to power. So something has drastically changed in the last 2 years in Maldives. So I think you all are right. Praveen, you want to add the last word?
Um, with the exception of Pakistan, India's relations with Pakistan, I think, of course, there are several ups and downs. And as one of my co-participants said, there is a strained relation as well as it is unpredictable. But overall, I think we are trying. This big brother attitude is always ingrained. So that's one of the, for good or bad. I just don't know what to say. So, but we'll have to work out how best we can see that our relations go on in a healthy manner. So that's what I want to say. Is it okay, sir?
Very true. Very true. Very true. Big brother, that word. So I was picking on some words that you all have spoken. So somebody said strained relationship. Somebody said unpredictable. Praveen said big brother. Uh, and all of you are right. I think when you look at India's relationship with her neighbors, it's very complex. And the complexity of the relationship is defined by uh, the very, very special history that we have had. Uh, Geography also plays a very important role in shaping or determining India's relations with her neighbors. And let's not also forget that the questions of identity are very important when it comes to shaping or defining India's relationship with her neighbors. So when I use the term complex or complexity of India's relationship with her neighbors, there are three factors, therefore, which I would say are very, very important in trying to explain that complexity: history, geography, and identity. And most of what I would like to discuss with you today will be built around these three broad frames of analysis. And all these three are intricately linked with each other. Questions of history of the South Asian subcontinent, or the Indian subcontinent, as we would like to call it, have shaped boundaries of the region. And boundaries in South Asia have been politicized. Boundaries were created out of a colonial legacy that we had. But we all know for sure that these boundaries were arbitrarily created. They were more creations of a certain colonial construction, which also could be seen as part and parcel of a larger geopolitical construction. But then boundaries, political boundaries are one thing, and identities are another. Identities do not know any boundaries. So when you have identities in South Asia, and I'm using the term India and her neighborhood, Indian subcontinent and South Asia interchangeably with each other. I mean, deeper scholars of South Asia would say that no, don't mix up these terms. These are different terms. But I, just for the purpose of this lecture, I'm using these terms interchangeably. And the first very important point that I would like to put forward is that the complexity of history in South Asia has overlapped with questions of both boundary and identity. And this complexity has got carried forward in the way relations between India and her neighbors have been shaped or influenced in the post-independence period. As I was mentioning to you, after 1947, which is regarded as a very, very significant year, for the obvious reason that it was in 1947 that the division of the Indian subcontinent took place on religious lines. So the rationale for dividing South Asia was religion, but the practicality of it was a kind of a geographical bifurcation. But then religion did not know boundaries. You had peoples of different religions, identities, languages staying across the borders, but then they were divided by artificial lines. So you had Punjabi speaking people in Indian parts of Punjab, Punjabi speaking people in the Pakistani part of Punjab, spoken both by Muslims as well as Hindus, people who had shared language, shared customs, different religions, maybe. But then again, the Radcliffe line, which was the line which divided India and Pakistan, could not really divide people purely on the basis of religion. And partition, therefore, left a very, very bitter legacy, given that millions and millions of people from both the sides migrated to the two sides, and the violence which it got associated with. So that was the northern and the western frame of the South Asian subcontinent. The legacy of that, whether it is Kashmir or India's border with Pakistan, continues to witness this kind of a complexity. If we move to the eastern side, the partition was on both the sides. I mean, the northwestern sides and the eastern sides. So we had East Pakistan separated from the larger Indian state of Bengal. So what used to be United Bengal got divided into East Pakistan and India. Bengali being the same language, Bengali customs, traditions being very similar, yet the line divided the region on the basis of two communities. So what had happened in the Western Front also happened in the Eastern Front, accompanied by a huge amount of violence. So partition as a historical construct in a way becomes the starting point for us to try and explain the complexity of what was the legacy that we inherited. And the India-Pakistan problem, which we are all well aware of, in that sense, is a very, very clear legacy of partition. Uh, Pakistan always justified partition on the basis of its claim that Muslims needed a separate homeland, and creation of Pakistan therefore became intrinsic to the larger ideological premise that Muslims constituted a separate nationality. On the other hand, partition in a way negated India's own conception of the cultural, historical unity of the South Asian subcontinent. So in that sense, partition is something which is looked at very, very significantly, both by historians as well as political scientists. But then there is one major problem with regard to partition. And this has been pointed out by two very eminent scholars, Aisha Jalal and Sugata Bose. Incidentally, I'm told that there is also going to be an exam at the end of the refresher course. So authors' names, books are very important. And that also should make you alert. So I'm not indicating what questions I will give, but this book is very important. So this book is titled Modern South Asia. And the authors are Aisha Jalal and Sugata Bose. And in that, they make a very interesting point, which is that historians and political scientists have very different ways of looking at 1947. Historians say that 1947 for us is the end point of analyzing South Asia. So it's like history ends at 1947. And therefore, we should try to see what led to partition, the factors that it resulted in, the circumstances that prevailed, and that's it. Political scientists analyzing South Asia, on the other hand, look at partition as a starting point. That everything begins from partition, and therefore, if we have to look at India and her neighborhood, 1947 should become the starting point. In reality, partition should be looked at more as a point of fusion, as a point of continuity, because it in many ways explains the complexity of India's relationship with her neighbors that continues even post 1947. So that's the first point that I would like to make here, is that to explain India and the complexity of our neighborhood politics, partition certainly becomes a very, very important reference point. Fine, partition happened, India, Pakistan became two sovereign countries. After that, it should have been house in order. Things should have moved on naturally, at peace. Pakistan got their Pakistan, India became a sovereign country, and then life should have began smoothly. But that incidentally was not to be. And therefore begins the story of India and her neighborhood. Because post 1947, we start talking about not just Pakistan, actually, but other South Asian countries as well, in terms of trying to define or identify the South Asian scenario. And in that context, there comes in a second very, very significant point of departure. What is that second point of departure? Although chronologically it is much, much ahead, I'm talking about 1971. But 1971 is very important. So can some of you tell me why 1971 is important? If we have to again look at South Asian politics or India's neighborhood politics in terms of its complexity. First was 1947, the other is 1971. So why is 1971 important?
Bangladesh and
Liberation
that.
of East Pakistan, sir.
No, don't call it liberation of East Pakistan. It was, we normally call it liberation of Bangladesh. East Pakistan was already existing. So East Pakistan got dismantled. It was Bangladesh that emerged. So defeat of East Pakistan and liberation of Bangladesh. But let me go a little deeper into it. What did liberation of Bangladesh tell you about partition or about 1947? What lessons did 1971 have? If we go by logic of 1947, well, Muslim majority areas got their own country. But then you had 1971 that happened. So what does that tell you indirectly about the complexity of South Asian politics?
Sir, that religious and linguistic animosity has been there since 1905, right? So that thing carried over, sir. That is what I feel. The initial partition when Lord Curzon did in 1905, that
Yeah,
legacy was carried on, sir, even prior to 1971 and thereafter.
that is true. But then once East Pakistan was created, a separate nation was created, matters should have got settled. Why did 1971 happen? Why did Bangladesh have to become an independent country from Pakistan?
So maybe because of the Cold War had a role there. You know, we were into NAM and the newly independent country and the prior ones, they had sided themselves with US and USSR.
I am afraid not. There were some other reasons.
So
So
language
because
India
differences,
supported it, sir.
geographical location, sir.
One by one.
Geographical
I think
location.
Miss V Devi wants to say
Yes,
something.
it's a geographical location,
So
and
what
then
happened?
language differences.
Yes, can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
So
so shall I
people from
speak?
West Pakistan are Urdu speaking Muslims, and East Pakistan are Bengali speaking Muslims. Also, they are very far with regards to geographical location. They are very
Exactly.
far. The differences, the cultural differences are more. So that point I want to mention is.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Praveen, you wanted to add
There
something?
is, and even there was kind of discrimination. See, for example, all political leaders there
Oh,
from
there is a bit of an
Pakistan.
echo.
Uh, is it clear now?
Better, better.
Somebody else might have on the speaker. Yeah. You, there was kind of discrimination between the East and West Pakistan. Most of the political important leaders and representatives were ministers were from the West Pakistan, and even the development there was a lot of discrimination. So the East Pakistan people thought we are just for namesake, we are based on religion, we are a country, but neither the development nor the leaders are from the East Pakistan. So why don't we have our own representatives and our own share in development and other things? Yeah, this was also a point. Thank you.
Right, right, very right. I think both of you have very, very effectively summarized it. Two distant geographical areas, part of the same country, but culturally, linguistically, very different. Now, there are countries which learn to live with differences. In case of Pakistan, it never happened. West Pakistan and East Pakistan together. So rather than living in a framework of commonality, I mean, after all, religion already had provided that binding force to the two nations to coexist. So rather than living with that as the basic binding force, the dominant segments within West Pakistan superimposed their cultures, customs, and political power over the Bengali-speaking East Pakistanis. And that led to a situation of a kind of an internal colonialism, as some scholars have pointed out. So what does 1971 show? 1971 showed that religion as the basis of national identity cannot really be a successful proposition, at least in case of South Asia. It might be possible perhaps in other countries, but in case of South Asia, the realities are much, much more complex. And the very fact that the Bengali-speaking Muslims of East Pakistan identified themselves more with the Bengali culture that existed in West Bengal, which got further accentuated by the kind of policies that West Pakistan inflicted, led to a sense of alienation. And of course, the second part of the story is that once the massive military crackdown started in East Pakistan by the Pakistani military and millions of refugees crossed over into India, India was left with no other option but to intervene in the Bangladesh crisis. And eventually, with India's support and the Mukti Vahini, Bangladesh got liberated. So 1971, in some ways, proves to be a total departure from 1947 in terms of religion as the basis of national identity. Why I gave these two examples? Because these two examples tell us the complexity of history, tell us how religion cannot be seen as the basis of national identity. When you talk about a society as homogeneous as South Asia or India and her neighborhood, and in that sense, identity and identity politics in such complex societies keep on influencing or shaping each other in a very, very dynamic way. In fact, I was very, very happy that one of the participants used the term dynamic when we explained India's relations with our neighbors. It is indeed very, very dynamic. With these two as reference points, now let us look at the larger picture. So history and culture, the dichotomy we have tried to explain through the prism of 1947 and 1971. Now let us look at the larger picture, and now imagine in your minds the map of the South Asian subcontinent and India and her neighborhood. So I don't have a virtual blackboard, otherwise I would have drawn the map. So imagine that there is the map, physical map of South Asia in front of you. What will be your immediate reaction or response when you look at that map? How does the map look like to you in terms of explaining South Asian situation? What will be some unique features about that map, political map of South Asia when you look at it? So I see Mr. Kapil, who is also part of our group, although his picture is not moving. So Mr. Kapil, are you there? I'll just try how to increase the number of participation, the people, or Miss Shweta. Yeah, I can see Miss Shweta. So can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so if you look at India's map, I mean the map of South Asian neighborhood, what are the immediate things that come to your mind?
Sir, India is the largest nation in South Asia.
Yeah, but I would have wanted others to comment. Mr. Kapil is back. So, yeah, Mr. Kapil. You understood my question? Oh, I think there is some issue. Okay, yeah, Gorama, yeah.
Sir, in South Asia, India is the largest nation, sir.
India is the largest nation. That's quite obvious. India occupies almost 3/4 of the size, natural resources, and population of the entire South Asian region. What else is the significant characteristic when you look at the map?
It's the
The other
biggest
characteristic,
democracy, and then it's a biggest economy.
yes, economic size is the other important thing. Actually, I'm wanting to know just about the map, meaning to say the boundary. If you just look at the boundaries.
Geographical location.
Yes.
Sharing borders with.
Sir, India sharing its border with so many countries.
Yes, yes. And there is something unique about sharing that border. If you look at it closely, you will find that India is sharing borders with almost all the other neighboring countries. India, Pakistan, India, Nepal,
Yes.
India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, maritime border with Sri Lanka. So we have borders with all the South Asian countries. But none of these South Asian countries have a common border with each other. Pakistan does not have a common border with obviously Bangladesh because both are located far, far away. Of course, now friendship is growing between them, so they would certainly like to have a bridge which could connect both of them together. If you look at it very closely, Bangladesh and Bhutan also do not have a common border because they are divided by that very, very thin line that goes via India's chicken neck. Even Nepal and Bhutan, if you look at them, would be distant from each other by a small margin. So when you have a situation like that, India naturally becomes a very, very common factor as far as all the other neighbors are concerned. And when you happen to be a neighbor, which is a big neighbor, somebody used the term big brother. It's quite natural that there are going to be some anxieties, tensions, apprehensions that will naturally come in when other neighbors are small. Because no other country matches the size of India. In fact, there is a very famous story which we were told when we were students by India's then Foreign Secretary, Mr. J.N. Dikshit. And this story was about when they used to be young foreign service officers and they had the then Foreign Minister, Sardar Swaran Singh, who had come to meet them. And somebody asked this question that why is it that India's relationship with her neighbors is always problematic? There is some problem or the others that keeps on going as far as these countries are concerned. Sardar Swaran Singh gave a very, very good example. He said, imagine you are a Nawab. Nawab, you all understand? What is meant by Nawab? Nawab means a rich man or a noble man who stays in a neighborhood where other neighbors are poor. They are not so rich. The Nawab has a wedding in his family. So in that wedding, certainly he will spend a lot of money, lavish spending. He wants to show off. So the town's rich and famous people will come for the wedding. But then he has a dilemma. The dilemma is that, well, he has his neighbors also. And when you have a wedding, you should invite your neighbors. How can you not invite your neighbors? So if he invites his neighbors, the neighbors will come to the wedding. And they will say that, see, this fellow wanted to show off and prove himself to be superior among us. So to show off, he has invited us to the wedding to make us feel inferior. On the other hand, if the Nawab does not call the neighbors to the wedding, they will certainly not come for the wedding. But at the same time, they will go around saying that, see, this is what we have been saying all along. This Nawab thinks too highly of himself. We are his neighbors, and yet he has not invited us for the wedding. So if you invite somebody for the wedding, you are doomed. If you don't invite, again, you are doomed. Sardar Swaran Singh said, India's position in our neighborhood, I'm talking about post 1947, generally has been like that. If India has tried to go out of the way to help our neighbors, which India has done in many ways, there are times when smaller neighbors may tend to misunderstand India. They may feel that, well, India must be having some hidden agenda. Otherwise, why are they going out of the way to help us? So if India helps the neighbors, becomes active in terms of cooperating with them, neighbors may have a problem. And if India does not go out of the way to help them, that is all the more problem, because then they will say that, see, India is a big country, it's a big neighbor, it has greater responsibility, and it is not coming to our help. I call this as the Swaran Singh dilemma. And India has persisted with this dilemma for the last 70, 75 years of our post-independence revolution. It is not that India has not helped the South Asian countries politically, economically, strategically, in terms of human development. It's not that we have not done that. Yet, there have been reasons at times for which India has been misunderstood. Partly, India has been responsible for these misunderstandings. Partly, also the domestic politics that gets played out in these countries also is responsible for the reasons as to why India often is misunderstood. And that is where we now shift our focus of discussion to internal politics in the South Asian countries. So we started our discussion with history, identity. From that, we now move our discussion to domestic politics in these countries internally, and how invariably India becomes a very, very significant factor insofar as domestic politics is concerned. And in that sense, the complexity of the politics increases even more. It gets enhanced even more. And here I would like to pick out on individual examples. We'll take very brief examples, but each of these examples would be very, very important for us. Since we have mentioned about Bangladesh, let's start with Bangladesh itself. Bangladesh has been in the news for the last 1 year. I hope you all agree. And you all must have been following the news. So can anybody tell me in what way domestic politics in Bangladesh has changed very drastically during the last 1 year? Would anybody like to volunteer?
The democratic government has been toppled down.
Mr. Kapil is saying something. So, yes.
Sir, domestic politics in Bangladesh has really seen a very drastic change because of Awami League parties, some controversial decisions. there were lots of criticisms against the Sheikh Hasina government, whatever policies she brought in the economy, polity, or in other sectors, actually really brought great kind of injustice to other people, especially to her special policies with regard to employment and other sectors. So the youth in the Bangladesh were really alarmed by the employment policies brought out by Sheikh Hasina. So that policies really led to the great amount of a kind of unrest in Bangladesh. And that really led to the sea changes in the Bangladesh politics.
Very right. And therefore, what happened subsequently?
Subsequently, they overthrew Sheikh Hasina government, and she was forced to flee to the India, sir, in the seeking asylum in India, sir.
And finally, what about the legacy of Awami League? How are people looking at legacy of Awami League right now?
Probably, sir, the famous economist, presently I'm not recalling his name. Actually,
Yunus.
Here, yes, sir. No, sorry, sir. Muhammad Yunus. Actually, the people wanted him to be hold the reins of the administration. But actually, the same person is, I think, I read some days ago that the same person is also losing the legitimacy of the people. So presently, what is actually going in Bangladesh is a kind of systematic or a system failure, sir.
Systematic failure, yes. Anybody else wants to add to this? What I also want to know is the legacy of Awami League. Awami League was the party which led the freedom struggle in Bangladesh. So it was the party of liberation of Bangladesh. The father of Bangladeshi nation was Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, father of Sheikh Hasina. So what about his legacy? How are people looking at it now? Anybody else wants to
they're
add?
demolishing his idols and all.
Rajakar. They call Rajakar.
Yes, Chaitra.
Sir, they're demolishing his idols and people are against that, that reservation issues going on, and then the reservation for the people who were responsible for bringing in liberation and the Awami League members are being targeted now.
Very true. So in Bangladesh, we have a situation where history has taken a U-turn of sorts. Can you imagine a party of liberation, the party which was considered to be responsible for liberating Bangladesh, has now been banned, and the topmost leader has actually been accused of war crimes. So history has taken a U-turn in Bangladesh. And India has intricately become part of that turmoil U-turn, because traditionally the Awami League party always had been a pro-India party for natural reasons, because India was the major force that helped Bangladesh get liberated. So we supported the Awami League. So whenever Awami League government used to come to power in Bangladesh, India always could presume a pro-India tilt. Domestic politics in Bangladesh also get used to be played on the basis of these lines, with one party accusing the other. I mean, the Bangladesh National Party, the opposition party, blaming Awami League, in case it is in power, of being pro-India, and therefore compromising with with Bangladesh's interests. Today, that dilemma has increased 10 times because Sheikh Hasina is actually given not asylum, but she has been given shelter in India itself. So imagine tomorrow what will be India's position if the court issues an order in Bangladesh stating that Sheikh Hasina has to be extradited. So will India have to be forced to send back one of her trusted friends back to Bangladesh, where she's likely to get the most severe punishment. I mean, so Bangladesh, therefore, is a classic case of this Indian dilemma, caught in the domestic political turmoil. A turmoil which is largely, I would say, a creation of Bangladesh's own politics, in which India just could not remain a silent actor. So when Sheikh Hasina sought India's help, when there were mobs coming to her house, India could not have refused help to her. So in that sense, I mean, the complexity of the relationship was such that India remains involved in what is happening in Bangladesh. What will happen in future? Well, as Kapil's point was that there appears to be a system failure. Is Muhammad Yunus in complete power? We don't know. Who knows that the radical elements in Bangladesh perhaps gradually may become so powerful that eventually they will take over. So that makes the situation even messier. So that is one example from Bangladesh, which is clear and very, very contemporary. Let's take Sri Lanka. So from northeast, we now move down. I would say India's relations with Sri Lanka at present are at a fairly reasonably good pace. India's economic partnership with Sri Lanka has been growing. And the two countries have been converging with each other on a variety of issues. So much so that I think there was a prime ministerial visit also that took place to Sri Lanka. Just 3 years back, when Sri Lanka was facing a very, very severe financial crisis, I'm pretty sure that you must have seen those images on TV when thousands of Sri Lankans, because of the economic crisis, came out on the streets and they stormed the presidential palace, where Gotabaya Rajapaksa had to literally flee the country. Very similar to what happened in Bangladesh. The reason was economic crisis. And at that time, India came up with the help of, I think, $2 billion or something like that, which was much more than what IMF helped to Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka has not forgotten that. And even though governments changed after that, the present government is very, very favorably inclined towards India. But then, today, India-Sri Lanka is a fairly good story with all its ups and downs. Has it always been like that? Are you aware that there was a past of relationship between India and Sri Lanka where relations were almost at the bottom of the bilateral level? So are you aware of a particular phase in India-Sri Lanka relationship when things were very bad? And what was that phase?
Rajiv Gandhi assassination period.
Okay, I'm seeing Ms. Deepa.
Matter of entities.
Yeah, so I'm seeing Ms. Deepa on my screen. So would you like to tell us what was that bad phase?
Sir, death of Rajiv Gandhi period, India-Sri Lanka relationship is very bad.
Yes, Rajiv Gandhi's
And
death
also
was the
LTT movement
outcome.
in Sri Lanka.
Why did that happen? What was the history of that?
LTT movement.
Sending IPKF to Sri Lanka, sir.
Why did we send IPKF to Sri Lanka? You all are giving me one word answers, but I want a little
To
bit.
restore
LTT.
between,
Okay, one by one. So, Mr. Natraj, yeah.
So managing the entity, that's one of the organization, no sir, Tamil Elam, with the chairmanship, with the leadership of the Prabhakaran.
To manage, you use the word manage. The word
It's like a
manage is very
diplomatic.
important here. So why did you use the word manage? You could have used the word to destroy.
No sir.
the word manage becomes very important because I am pretty sure you are aware, and these days there is a web series also which is coming on this particular issue.
Yes, sir.
Although I think
The Rajiv Gandhi
the
assassination.
hunt that I think that is focusing only on the phase when Rajiv Gandhi got assassinated. But India was a very active player as far as the conflict between the LTT and the Sri Lankan government was concerned. To the extent that, and today we have no problems in stating that India even supported the LTT in the initial phases. It's a big question as to why India supported the LTT in the initial phases. When it was by and large very clear that LTT was resorting to the path of violence. So why did we deviate from our stated position that we should not be supporting any kind of violence? So for that, we have to go a little further back into the history.
Yes,
and I need to explain this point because it explains the complexity of India's relationship with her neighbors.
Yes, sir. So there's
Which
one
is
of the
shaped
land
by
island. There is a Kachativu island. That was a history.
Kachativu was one of the points of dispute, mostly between the Indian government and the Sri Lankan government. But it was the ethnic problem between the Sinhalese and the Tamils which started it all. After independence, a few years after independence, Sri Lanka followed a policy which was based on ethnic nationalism or ethnic majoritarianism. I mean, we all know that the Sinhalas, who are Buddhists, are the majority community, almost 70% of Sri Lanka's population, whereas the Tamils have been around 25 to 30%. The mainstream Sinhala politicians felt somewhere down the line that there has been a historical injustice to the Sinhalas, and therefore they should get a preference when it comes to education, jobs, and many other opportunities. So the policy of Sinhala only, therefore, was introduced. And the moment that was introduced, I mean, normally you have affirmative action or reservation policy for minority groups. But then when you make a policy which is focusing precisely on the majority community, the anxieties among the minority communities are likely to get enhanced. So this was 1950s, 1960s. This gradually enhanced a sense of insecurity, alienation among the Tamils, who gradually started aligning themselves politically. But at that stage, none of them were wanting a separate homeland. So nobody was saying that, no, we want a separate Tamil Elam. But the demand was for greater rights, certainly greater autonomy, till the 1980s. But then again, the response of the dominant Sinhala politicians was not to grant greater autonomy, but to lead to greater centralization of power and authority. So while they ought to have introduced major devolution and decentralization in the 1970s itself, when the demand came first, they rather centralized the country more. Sri Lanka went into a presidential form of government, further creating insecurities. And at that particular juncture, a situation emerged where the moderate Tamil politicians, who till now were talking about autonomy or greater rights, started getting replaced by the more militant leadership. And that is the emergence of the LTT in the frame there. And there began India's problem. India was certainly trying to mediate till that time, stating that, well, rights of Tamil people have to be protected. But when the leadership became militant and LTT came to the fore, India became conscious of the security threat it might lead to, because the greater the militant dimension expands, in no way it could not affect the Indian state of Tamil Nadu. So it may end up making our own southern part more vulnerable. The counter reaction by Sri Lankan government, which were also using force, was also creating a lot of anxieties among the Tamil population in India, that Indian government is not doing enough to protect our Tamil counterparts there. So it was precisely keeping in mind that dilemma. The central government thought that even with LTT, we need to have some kind of a leverage. We cannot entirely remain away from LTT and say that let Sri Lankan government handle it. And based on that logic, India indirectly came into the picture, and to retain their influence, they started helping LTT. Their fear was that if we do not come into the picture, other countries will start coming in. I mean, that time, Israel, Pakistan, United States, all were far too keen to try and gain influence as far as the northern and the eastern parts of Sri Lanka was concerned, and India would not want to do that. So India's involvement, insofar as LTT is concerned, was more from the point of view of what our friend Nakraj said, managing LTT, so managing the problem. Yes. But then we all know that it did not become successful. It backfired. IPKF was said to enforce, in a way, the IPKF, I mean, the India-Sri Lanka Peace Accord, which would have meant greater devolution of powers to the Tamil areas and surrender of arms from the LTT. But then nobody kept their promise, neither the Sri Lankan government nor the LTT, and the IPKF, which was sent there to keep peace, ended up fighting the LTT. And then the war continued for almost 25 years. So, of course, I mean, history has bitter lessons. So there are many scholars who point out that the history of the Tamil Sri Lankan ethnic conflict also tells us that we can only try and shape domestic outcomes in our neighborhood in a certain way, but we cannot do that 100%. And of course, the moment India decided after Rajiv Gandhi's assassination that no, we will have nothing to do with the war in Sri Lanka, let Sri Lankan government handle it with LTT directly. We see a situation where India-Sri Lanka relations separately started improving drastically. Now, it was a different matter that the war also became quite intense, went on for almost 20 years. Eventually, Sri Lankan government used brute force ultimately to eliminate LTT. Does that mean the Tamil issue is resolved 100%? No. I think the Tamils are still talking about greater devolution of powers. In a way, many people point out that the formula that India had presented way back in 1987 is still the formula that many people are still considering. So if that is the case, what was the need of all the bloodshed that happened in between? But coming back to the point that the Indian dilemma was that if we had not intervened or tried to help in the way we did in Sri Lanka, perhaps something else may have happened. Things may have gone the other way around. Therefore, looking at Bangladesh, looking at Sri Lanka, I will not bring in Pakistan here because with Pakistan, see, I always say in a light-hearted manner, Pakistan is the most predictable country in South Asia. Because we know relations with Pakistan will always be on the turmoil. So we have gotten used to this hot and cold relationship with Pakistan. In fact, for the last 14 years, it has been cold only. I mean, nothing positive has happened in the last 10 years. So it's very easy to predict Pakistan, but it's not so easy to predict other neighbors. Bangladesh has been unpredictable. Sri Lanka was unpredictable. Nepal also, in that sense, is unpredictable. I will just try to explain Nepal in 2 minutes. There was a time when India used to support monarchy in Nepal. Nepal used to be known as the largest, the only Hindu kingdom in the world. Because the people of Nepal also had accepted the king as a very, very important pillar. But after India gained independence, a number of political leaders in Nepal, most of whom were actually educated in Indian universities, Allahabad University, BHU, etc., they also gradually wanted Nepal to start moving on a democratic path. Now we know that democracy and monarchy cannot go hand in hand with each other. India's dilemma was that, well, the king had always been traditionally India's friend. But at the same time, the emerging political leadership, the Nepali Congress, the Communist Party of Nepal, also had very close alliances with Indian political parties. People's opinion also was gradually asking for greater democratization. So in that sense, the dilemma that India faced in Nepal was how to balance its ties between the king on one hand and the political parties on the other hand. And this dilemma increased even more when in 2001, the then king, King Virendra, was assassinated by his own son. The entire royal family got wiped out. And the king who came after that, people did not recognize him as the real king. And gradually, because of a large number of policies that he adopted, there was mass unrest against him. So India really had a tough time to give legitimacy to the king or to give legitimacy to the political parties. Just give me a second.